Both the story of Demon Slayer and Ufotable continue to impress me. As we get into the movie Mugen Train, I continue my sense that this is definitely a contender to be one of those next generation of shonens that kind of impress with both visual at the same time the story itself. But this is my review of the movie, so let's jump right into it. Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba, the movie Mugen Train, that is a mouthful, pretty much opens up where the first season left off. We essentially follow Tanjiro and party as they are told to board the Mugen Train because there are essentially civilians on this train that are missing. They claim that about 40 people have gone missing so far while riding this train. And what's kind of surprising is when they get on there, Rengoku is already on the train, and of course he is one of these, higher-ranking members of their team. And quickly Tanjiro is trying to prod him to see if he has any information about his father. Again, as we left the first season off, Tanjiro is starting to kind of recall these memories of his father doing this fire dance. And he's trying to get some kind of information out of Rengoku, but it doesn't really get much out of him. He's a very interesting, eccentric man. As they kind of first confront him, he's just like eating and saying, "Why?" over and over again. Very weird dude. But as their kind of trip on this train goes along and they're trying to, see if they can sense anything, obviously Tanjiro having a really solid sense of smell, unable to really kind of sense anything of danger. They end up running into a couple of them and assume that's kind of it. But quickly they find themselves affected by a slumber that is caused by this particular demon that they end up having to face. And that's about as far as I'll get into this. I don't want to spoil anything. Being a 2-hour-long movie, it is definitely a solid length, but at the same time, I do want people to experience this really fresh. But essentially, to give a little bit of a hint, it does kind of get into more the idea of past and dreams in themselves as they kind of face this particular demon. Of course, to get this out of the way, yes, Ufotable, as always, an absolutely incredible studio that is always continuing to press the bar of quality higher and higher. They continue to impress their visual effects, their blending of CGI and 2D animation to really give this amazing sense of presence of the environment itself, velocity, all these kind of things. They're a bar above the rest. There's really no competition in this regard. They visually just pull it off every single time. The combat sequences were amazing themselves. A lot of the visuals, the styling, everything is absolutely incredible. The music, the sound effects, the impact of everything. Ufotable just continues to just blow me away. The only thing I can possibly be negative on this series for in regards to animation and audio is we still have what would I call it? The Fate Zero blob effect. As things start getting further and further crazy with this train, there's this point in which there's this almost blob fleshy effect going on with the train itself, and it's straight out of Fate Zero. That really terrible looking blob CGI that I don't know why they continue to use it. I honestly, it was also present, I think, with the skeletons and stuff with the Unlimited Blade Works TV series. I don't know. It's like if everything else they do is so much polish and so much beauty and so much amazing work. It's like, why is this so ugly looking? Like, why does this not fit? I mean, the train itself, yes, being CGI, does stand out a little bit. But that blob effect, they gotta stop using that. It looks terrible. It doesn't fit. It looks very foreign to the environment and the characters themselves. But yeah, like I said, that's really my only issue. Everything else is absolutely incredible. The fight scenes, everything looks beautiful. Getting into the story itself, I loved it to death. What the funny thing is coming into this, there's a couple things that I would honestly say. One, I honestly was foreseeing something happen that it eventually does happen, which was kind of unfortunately a given. Like, this is just something that happens. It's a trope that ends up kind of driving characters. But I will say that the slumber effect, getting into the history stuff, was really cool. The kind of inner conflict that it ended up creating was very emotional. Some very, very powerful scenes for Tanjiro himself. and thankfully getting a lot into Rengoku himself. It's a really cool way of really kind of diving into these characters. The only unfortunate thing that really did kind of create is for anybody besides those two, there wasn't really anything there. It was more for comedic value, if anything. And that I did find was kind of a missed opportunity. But still, again, I did chuckle to them, so I guess it works in the end. Additionally to this, and this is the huge surprise, I at some point realized, man, this is 2 hours long, and I don't really see this really dragging out that long. What was really cool is getting something at the end of the story that I wasn't expecting. That's how I'll say it in order. I don't want to spoil anything, again, so I'm being very careful with my words here. But essentially, there's two parts to this, in actuality. And that second part was, like I said, a huge surprise to me. I really wasn't expecting that to really come into play yet. And what it ended up turning into was, one, again, extremely amazing combat sequences, but two, some extremely powerful, emotional, impacting points that, again, going from my expectations was this to, okay, we're doing all of this, was a huge surprise to me. It almost ends up turning into way more than the sum of its parts that I originally assumed was going to be there. It's like this cherry on top that's ginormous and extremely tasty, is the best way I can put it. It was fantastic. I absolutely loved it. So essentially what it turns into is an incredibly amazing, artistic, and visually pleasing addition to the Demon Slayer series that just continues to get me more and more excited for what's going on in the future. Just great, powerful character moments. It's shonen done so perfectly right. Like, this is essentially the things that we love so much about these long-running shonen series that unfortunately are so long-running that they don't put too much effort into the presentation itself, saying this is the new style of shonen. This is the storytelling you love, the characters that start from nothing and slowly build up to something. That sense of, like with this particular movie, having this moment where Tanjiro goes, I keep thinking I get to a new plateau, and I'm still nowhere near these other people. Like, I'm still nothing compared to what's happening in front of me. Having that feeling of I still have to progress is a cornerstone to shonen series. And I love that Ufotable, in doing this adaptation, is taking it to a whole nother level. It's, here is these long-running series, but super high polish, amazing action scenes. This is the My Hero Academia. This is the Jujutsu Kaisen. This is the new age of shonens, and I love it. I love it so much, and I cannot wait for more of this. But yeah, that's my review of Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba movie, Mugen Train. An absolutely incredible movie. If you've watched the TV series, definitely go run out there and watch the movie. It is absolutely incredible. It's available on Funimation right now. Hopefully it will stay there. I don't know if it's being taken down, but love it to death. Definitely suggest it. Hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you did, leave a like down below. Comment, let me know what you thought of the movie, or tell me if you're going to check it out. Subscribe if you haven't already. I thank you all for watching, and y'all take care.